Well, next up, we have Jared here joining us with App of the Week. I am so excited to talk about AwayFind. I've been obsessed with this. Playing our drums over here. So Jared Goralnick, founder and CEO of AwayFind. I have to tell you, Jared, I love the fact—
You love this one. You've been
I
talking
love
about
it.
it all
I can't
day.
help it. It's because I can already use it with my Gmail. So this is an application that's designed to address the email headache, email interruptions. You know, you're constantly looking through your email while you're trying to work, and of course, you know, the whole kitties and, well, I won't talk about that, videos that you know that coworkers send you, get you pulled off in a different direction, and the next thing you know, half an hour's gone by, an hour's gone by, and you've wasted all this time. So this is a great way to have your email closed and still be able to get the important messages. So, Mark, I'm sorry, but I kind of already set it up on my computer.
Did you?
Well, yeah, and I set it so that anything from Mark Jeffrey is not urgent. So, sorry, I'm kidding. Come on. So, Jared, I'll let you talk for a second. Where did the idea for AwayFind come from?
Well, actually, I started a business in '02 that was really focused on productivity training.
Yeah.
And specifically kind of an office with desktop applications. We wanted to save people half an hour more a day. And we realized over the years, like by '05, '06, that half of people's days were being taken by communications. And
half?
we started to look
Literally half?
Literally half of their day. Now, some of that's good communication, some of that's necessary. But a couple hours of every day, a lot of the studies have shown, is actually interruptions and the cost of getting back on track. And that's not what people are paid to do, and it's not what people enjoy doing. So the question is how do you get people back into flow and into being proactive with scheduling their days? So that's kind of what we built this tool for. I really wanted to help people with attention management and being able to focus on what they really wanted to do at work or be able to escape from their email when they're on their trips.
Right. I mean, I think for me, it's the anxiety. I feel like if I shut my email for even half an hour to focus on something, I'm going to miss something really important from Mark. So,
See,
you didn't hear that, right? Okay.
I did hear it.
And I don't want to get in trouble by the boss man, if he's got something important for me to do and I'm supposed to do it within the half hour that I've got my email closed.
It can be a problem.
So that's one thing I found really exciting about this when I played around with it, is that you can have your email program shut and you can still get those important messages that you set up. So I can get an instant message, I can get an SMS, I can even get a tweet that says, hey, Mark's trying to get a hold of you, or you have a deadline with Mark. So
it's like a firewall.
Kind of.
And so you let the good stuff through and the bad stuff or the stuff you want to deal with later out.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Huh. Now, Jared, you guys were at the Under the Radar Cloud Conference as well, right? Oh, I think we've lost Jared for a minute. Well, that's okay because I can ramble on about this. I love it. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
Yeah,
we lost you for a second. It's okay.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was at the Cloud Conference.
So what's the aha moment that everybody has when they first look at AwayFind? Like, what kind of response do you get from people?
Some people miss the point in terms of thinking like, oh, like my BlackBerry already gives me notifications. The aha is the idea that they realize, well, wait a second, I can turn those, and wait a second, yes, you're right, 99% of the messages I receive just don't demand my time. So what we really found is once we started making that really clear and putting it right in their email application as opposed to making them have to go to our website, that people really got the message very quickly, and that they started to feel real comfortable with closing their application.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm sorry, I just have to bring this up. I don't know who else here is a fan of The Office, but on the season finale, Ryan does this demo of a social networking site called Woof. Now, I'm not saying that this is a social networking site, but what Woof does is whenever you get a message, it updates all of your other social networks. And so he's sitting there and, he tests it out and he sends an update, and all of a sudden the fax machine spits something out and he gets his phone rings, and then, the secretary says, you have a woof. So it kind of reminds me of that.
It's sort of like the inverse of that, though, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So you're actually getting only what you need and only the important messages. So you had some big news, too. You guys just launched on the Google Apps Marketplace.
Yep, we were one of the, I think, maybe 8 or 10 vendors that got not only that we launched in the marketplace, but we launched with Google as a contextual gadget, like trusted beta partner or whatever.
Now, not many people do that, right? Not many people are actually doing the contextual thing yet.
Yeah, I think there's, as I said, there's fewer than a dozen, and there's some access I'm not sure that everybody has, but certainly people can start using it. Developers can start using it. But we got in the early group, and it's pretty amazing. It means you actually get to be in their email, and I can show you in a moment whenever you'd like. But you literally are in the bottom of every message in email throughout an entire domain, and we don't take up much space or anything, but we give people the option of getting urgent alerts based on messages that are like that one.
All right, I have to interject something here. So remember when Mark Schuster from This Week in Venture Capital was on like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and he said app is crap. Remember he went on a little tirade. So and my response back to him was, well, no, actually, I was gentle about it, but I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not so sure I agree with you, because with Google and the Google App Store, you can integrate things with existing services, right?
Perfect example.
I said unified login. I didn't really think about Gmail and some of the other things. Well, here's a perfect example of where this application is integrated, is already in your Gmail. You don't have to, you just have to flip it on.
I'm telling you, all I have to do is click a button that says ignore Mark, and it's that simple.
Yes, well, you have to use it properly, of course, but you need to, but you get the idea. It's already integrated. You don't have to, there's no mucking around. So I don't know. I kind of disagree with him on this point.
Yeah,
this is why.
I would completely agree. I think that it's really difficult to become a destination website for startups. Or, I mean, if you're Facebook, if you're Yahoo or something, there's a chance people are going to visit your site. A declining chance in the latter case, but with with most small applications, especially if you're a utility and not a game, in which case your experience doesn't need to be kind of fully immersive, it makes a lot more sense to go to where everybody else is. And I think the iPhone is one of the few Android, places like that, like phones, are one of the few places where you actually can take up the whole screen. Whereas in other cases, if it's Salesforce or if it's Outlook or any of the Google apps, then you're going to take up a portion of the screen in some kind of gadget. And that's probably the best way to do it, because you're in front of them without really changing their behavior.
True. Well, why don't we jump in? I want people to see how awesome this is.
Sure. Give me 1 second here.
Sure.
So now you set it up, and are you using it right now?
I've got it on mine, yes.
Oh, wow. So how long have you been using it? Has it just been a couple days, or just today?
Just like the last 24 hours when I was first getting my messages from you. Like, I was actually out at lunch, and it's like, what the heck is this? And, oh, we have it changed to the show notes.
Right. So there you go.
So here we go. I think we can jump on over to Jared's screen and see how this works.
So if you can see the screen right here, you're looking at a regular Gmail interface. This is for a demo domain that we have called Avatardy. But otherwise, this for the most part looks pretty similar to what you're used to. What's different, though, is in the bottom of the screen, we see a row here for AwayFind. This is our contextual gadget. And what you can do is you can say that if I receive a message from Ryan, what I want to happen is I want to get a direct message, for example. Or maybe I want to get an IM. And I only want that to happen, though, for the next day, because right now we're working on a project, and but after that I won't necessarily need to get alerted right away when Ryan emails me. So I could just choose those options, click create, and that's it. And the next time I go to a message that's from Ryan, I'm not going to see it taking up that much space, but I will see that Ryan becomes highlighted. You'll see that hopefully in a moment.
Yeah, so you're pretty much just setting up rules then.
Yep, they're really, really light, basic rules that expire. And I'm realizing what I just did here on my end. I logged into another account while I was doing this, so I'll fix that while you go over to there. But yeah, so that's basically the idea. Is it's rules, but rules that can expire.
Sure. Now, here's a quick question. One thing that this is trying to do is, obviously create a filter so that you're only getting the important messages. But on the AwayFind site, someone can just still fill out a form to contact me. Now, everyone thinks their messages are the most important. So what I'm wondering is how much, less important stuff still makes its way through.
Sure. As of now, the product is mostly rules based. Sorry, I just wanted to log out of my account here. So what that means is you're not going to get notified of things you don't want to, because you're choosing specifically who is going to notify you. So in this case, it's specifically messages that are from Ryan that are going to come to me, whereas it's not going to be messages from, say, from everybody. So if you choose the wrong people, yes, you might get notified by the wrong, by the wrong message, but it's not going to be, people don't generally set up that many alerts. It's usually, you're going to meet with somebody for lunch in the next few days, and you want to get notified if they message you. There's a particular project that's particularly urgent. It's things like that. So you're not going to get extra noise. What we're working toward, though, is helping people to choose the very specific people that we think are urgent to them, not necessarily, important, but actually timely and urgent. Yeah. And we're also, putting in some intelligence so that we can actually predict those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to add those. I had actually two questions. One is, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking this as well. I use Gmail. I have filters that I've set up. I use them a lot in folders for a lot of different things. How is this? And I sort of use that to do what this application does. What do you do that's different from Gmail's inherently inbuilt folders and filters?
Sure. What's different from us is two different things specifically. One is that we're sending messages to other communication media. So, for example, we're sending to SMS. We actually have the ability to call people and read them a message. We can send SMSs internationally, which is something that even in the beta features of SMS that Gmail has, they don't offer.
Yep.
We can send to IM. We're going to have an iPhone and Android client, so that's another place that we can send messages that that they can't do.
Yep.
And then the other big thing is we can expire our messages. So those are kind of like the basic things that are different. But then on the other end, we have, of course, that contact form that Amanda had mentioned, which is a neat way of allowing people to alert you with an emergency,
right, there you go,
without having to see your cell phone number. So this is really good to put an out-of-office message. A lot of our users put this in the signature at the bottom of their email. Instead of giving out their cell phone, they say, if there's something urgent, fill out this form. And what's nice about it is it doesn't take up that much space in your mind, because it's only going to take up to 2 SMS messages, which really doesn't interrupt your day that much.
And not only that, Jared, but also in terms of the drop-off rate for people who fill out forms, the conversion rate for forms is, fairly low the more fields that you put in. So unless it's really, really urgent, I think the fact that you're doing a form is probably helping people to stop and think, is this really worth it?
Right. Got it. There's a lot of talk to the form.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question from the chat room from our bud, Jay Praz. He wants to know that what's preventing Google from building this themselves?
There's not much that prevents Google from doing anything, to be honest. But I mean, what we're doing that's a little bit different is we're cross-platform. So we support Exchange, we support IMAP. We support Gmail, of course. We're going to be supporting other providers. So you can actually have multiple accounts. So that's obviously one of the big differences.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
And then on the other end, we're supporting other services as far as distributing. So what I don't see a lot of these companies doing is creating applications in a lot of different places. I mean, we're going to be in Outlook natively. So, and we already support Exchange natively. So that's just stuff that I just don't see Google doing. What our product will eventually grow into is kind of, a lot of education in terms of how do you escape from your inbox. Whereas if Google adds something, they'll add a little feature, but they really won't get into a lot of the benefits and a lot of the explanation for how to set things up in such a way that you spend less time in your inbox. That's not really a goal of Gmail, is to keep people away from their advertising.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's a very fair point. What about the level of granularity? I mean, how many rules can you really put, and what makes the most sense in that regard?
And I apologize that my screen's not coming up right now.
That's all right.
But no, you can set things based on any rules you could think of. It can be the from, it can be the to. So in the actual AwayFind user interface, you can get to a lot more detail. You can set things like how many people have been sent in the to fields, so that if a message has more than 4 people, it's probably not personal. You can set things like keywords, and we also give you a list of the people who we think you're most likely to find as urgent contacts.
Nice.
So sort of you predict.
Yeah. So, and they're building more intelligence into it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jared. I encourage everyone to check out AwayFind, awayfind.com.
Yep.
And what's the Twitter handle, Jared?
The Twitter is @AwayFind.
And what about you, if people want to follow you as well?
Well, thank you. I am at @TechnoTheory.
@TechnoTheory. And actually, I wanted to make sure everyone knows, also go to YouTube, because Jared has a great account on YouTube under TechnoTheory as well, with lots of these demos. So if you want to if you want to see the actual demos of the product, then he's got a number of different videos on YouTube.
Very smart.
So we'll make sure we get that link up.
And those are all those are all on the demo pages of AwayFind as well. So, but I really appreciate you having me, Amanda and Mark. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Definitely keep in touch.